Hi, I'm Aaron Dean, and this is Advocate Today. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is defending the state's new controversial standards for teaching Black history. Florida's social studies classes will now teach that enslaved people developed skills that could be used for their personal benefits. The new K-12 standards include teaching not just about violence against African Americans, but also violence by African Americans. Some calling it victim blaming. The NAACP outright condemns it. The teachers union says that it's a big step backwards. Reporters asked the governor to clarify his stance on the new curriculum.
I think what they're doing is I think that they're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed, being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Vice President Harris accused the governor of pushing propaganda to willfully mislead children. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who lives in Florida, says that it's an attempt to divide the country. He says that Florida's new Black history standards will prevent children from understanding the true history of slavery and racism.
I think, Sarah, they're trying to offer revisionist history to match their political ideology. And it is so very harmful to our children, all our children, but especially the descendants of those who were enslaved. This has the potential to cause severe psychological trauma to African American students who are in middle school and high school and have to be told that actually slavery was good for your ancestors. How offensive is that?
Crump is worried that if history isn't taught, it may be repeated. Some Republican candidates for president are trying to avoid taking a side for or against what's happening in Florida, some calling it a distraction, while the Florida school curriculum is a central issue for millions of Black Americans. Chris Christie called it a small issue, saying Sunday on CBS Face the Nation that we should focus on bigger issues like inflation.
We're arguing about these issues, these smaller issues, when we've got big issues in our country like runaway inflation that continues to hurt families, like an educational system. Instead of worrying about this, let's talk about the falling test scores throughout this country that are making us less competitive with the rest of the world. We have enormous issues to deal with in this country and around the world, and we're spending time, and I don't blame you for asking, but we're spending time on this as the first question to a presidential candidate on a Sunday morning.
Christie said Republicans should stay focused on the Hunter Biden investigation even after the president's son pleads guilty. The Department of Education is responding to the Supreme Court decision to overturn affirmative action with a diversity summit. The National Summit on Equal Opportunity in Higher Education will focus on finding new ways to support colleges that want to promote diversity in admissions. The conference will bring together college presidents, researchers, K-12 educators, and other college admission experts to discuss strategies and resources. President Biden is establishing a national monument in honor of Emmett Till, the Black teen whose lynching sparked the beginning of the civil rights movement. The dedication on July 25th would have been Till's 85th birthday. Till was visiting family in Mississippi when he was beaten and shot to death for allegedly whistling at a white woman. No one was ever convicted in his murder. Till's mother insisted on an open casket funeral so that the world could see her son's body. The monument will cover 3 separate sites: the Chicago church, which held Till's funeral, the site where Till's body was pulled from the river in Mississippi, and the courthouse where an all-white jury acquitted Till's murderers. Jay-Z's charity is teaming up with the owner of the Patriots to stop the spread of book bans. The Sean Carter Foundation and the Robert Kraft Foundation to combat anti-Semitism is collaborating on an initial $2 million fund. The partnership aims to, quote, preserve culture, expand diversity of thought, and to protect the centers of knowledge and creativity. $1.5 million of the money that will go to the Brooklyn Public Library, which has seen the surge in attendance thanks to its Book of Hope exhibit. 15,000 people have visited the library and 1,400 have signed up for library cards. In 2022, the American Library reported 1,200 demands to censor library books and resources. Most targeted books were by or about Black, LGBTQ plus persons, women, and religious groups. July is Disability Pride Month, and Easterseals is advocating for those with a disability. They provide resources and employment opportunities. The Advocate Channel sat down with two people who are shedding light on the issues facing disabled people in the new podcast called Everything You Know About Disability is Wrong. The Advocate Channel's Stephen Walker had this conversation.
Joining us now is Lily and Erin from Easterseals to discuss Disability Pride Month. So thank you for joining me. We are thrilled to have you with us for this month, Disability Pride. Do you mind sharing a bit about the history behind the month and why is it so important to the disability community?
Disability Pride Month actually started in 1990 after the passage of the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that is like legislature that completely changed the lives of disabled people for the better. And so Pride Month is celebrated every July, which is aligned with the ADA, and Pride Month is really needed because as a disabled person, we're taught and reinforced throughout our lives that disability is something bad, something wrong, and something that we should want to separate from our personhood. And so Pride Month is saying, like, no, I am proud to be disabled. I am proud to be who I am, and I won't let society let us feel that way. To feel othered and ashamed. Because disability is normal and it's amazing and you do amazing things.
How are you celebrating Disability Pride Month?
Well, just want to reiterate, thank you so much for having us here. It's an exciting Disability Pride Month. At Easterseals, we are running a social media campaign called #BecauseIamDisabled. We're trying to push back on this idea that disabled people have to be inspiring despite being disabled, and we have to inspire others to do great things. So this campaign is all about focusing on the success and the skills that disabled people have, not despite their disability, but because I am disabled. And then for me personally, this is a super exciting Disability Pride Month. It's the first Disability Pride Month where I am publicly talking about being autistic. Obviously, Erin and I made a podcast through Easterseals, so that was my public foray into discussing being autistic. And our final
coming out.
My coming out.
And I was like, it was great. I've just been listening to it. Well done, guys.
Oh, I'm so glad. And yeah, it just feels really lucky to get to have my disability coming out journey be documented throughout that podcast, and obviously to have Erin with me. So for me, I'm celebrating Pride in the same way Easterseals is, just by being incredibly proud, and also for myself, remembering that rest in itself is a form of celebration.
Tell us more about Easterseals and how it makes the world more accessible and inclusive. What services and programs does Easterseals provide?
Easterseals serves millions of people nationwide on all ages and stages, meaning children all the way to older adults. And we have 70 affiliates across the U.S., and we offer employment services, educational services, mental health services, therapy, transportation, advocacy. It's a really great organization that I'm so proud to work for, because we're ensuring that disabled people, veterans, and older Americans receive the tools and the resources to succeed in life.
Thanks for watching Advocate Today. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store. For the Advocate Channel, I'm Aaron Dean.